They literally weaponized the entire visible light spectrum.
Yeah.
And now when people see it, they're fucking triggered. When it...
Let's go, baby. So did you take that short?
I could have.
Well, technically you did because you sold spot.
I did sell spot up there.
All right. Oh, ho, ho. Hey, guys. Welcome back to your Future Hound Basement Box. I'm Marty Boggs.
And I'm Julian Bates.
And we got Spencer on town screen.
Spencer,
thanks for joining us today, folks. We like to come at you once a week or so and talk about this transitioning world of finance, go over some subjects that we do believe will benefit your future hand, and, just tell some jokes and have some fun along the way. So why don't you smash that like button, subscribe if you're new, comment down below, let us know where you're from and what you think, and let's get right into it. What are we up to today and how can we plan for tomorrow? Julian.
Thanks, Marty. Good to be back. What is going on? We got a massive dump. This is the worst week of Bitcoin for the year, in my opinion. I think we got about a 10% drop from the top, and that's it's whatever. It's what it is.
But it's actually statistics. It's not even your opinion. That's exactly right.
Yeah.
It's the worst dump of the year. Dump of the
there
year.
you go. It's not even my opinion. So we're going to get into it today. We're going to talk about how we can just continue to DCA. That's our plan for every day, all the way, DCA and look away because it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
That's the beauty of Bitcoin. So let's get into it.
Well, we also want to get into why this happened and how the speculation about, we're going to 40K and all this BS about
So let's
it, right?
break it down.
Yeah.
Biggs and Boggs are going to break it down. We're going to start with the market scope.
Marcus, go.
Let's look at it here. So I'm zoomed out. I got this looking at my Bitcoin versus the Binance US dollar coin, so the BUSD token, and I just have this set up. This is something that I haven't touched all year, so there's been no edits made to this chart. I just have the Fibonacci retracement tool used on the downtrend or the bearish trend from 2022, from the 69K top to the bottom at $15,400, which we called here a couple of months before it happened on your future hand. So let's look at it. What is happening? We talked about passing the 38.2% Fibonacci level here and potentially testing the 50% Fibonacci level. Now that was at approximately $32,667. We did not get all the way there, but we did come very close. As you can see, in the last couple of months, we were getting to the top of that zone. But I also had this red resistance line from a high trading volume node that didn't actually go to the Fibonacci line.
That's where the volume starts to build
and
up.
if you look at where that candle went to, it actually went directly to the top of my
the box there. Which if you had the VRVP on, you'd see the high volume node starting to round out there.
Yeah. But if we can see, it's a good chance now that we at least move back down to this next Fibonacci retracement lever.
Which is what, 23.5 probably or something like that?
And this one is at $22,008. So I'm not saying it's going to go all the way here, and it could easily go all the way past at this point. The last support level is down here at approximately $19,700. So, 19.7, 19.8 is really, really, there's high probabilities of this at this point after breaking down from the 50%. So what's going to happen over the last couple of months? What's been going on the last couple of weeks? What has happened in the narrative? What has happened in the media? And while everyone's paying attention to the fires, it seems that the big conversation right now is these Maui fires and whether or not they were fabricated or intentionally done or not. But what happened in the financial markets as a result of this? So fear in the markets, but also we had one of the largest real estate companies or development companies, Evergrande, again in China, filing for bankruptcy. Right. So the amount
right? Because that happened last year.
Yeah, the amount of people that are involved in this company, and if it's going bankrupt and people are selling all their shares, it's going to directly affect.
Well, we do know that China is heavily invested into Bitcoin. Yeah. So
it's going to create massive contagion, which is going to flood into other markets. So we've seen a massive drop in not only Bitcoin but across the U.S. stocks.
But you know what's funny is it's a lot of people like you just said massive drop, but we zoom out and look, it's literally nothing.
It's really not that bad.
It's but a speck of sand.
Yeah, and I mean we've had, and I knew this was going to cool down. I told you guys back in May, I'm going to chill for the summer. There's not going to be much going on. Everything is going to slow down and potentially see some lower prices.
And what we did see,
we tested the top of that resistance, the major trade volume.
Yeah,
but the halving cycle of Bitcoin is still so far away that
we got a lot of time.
it doesn't matter. They can't. The thing is that they want to manipulate it and they want to try and push price and do all these things, but they can't do that with Bitcoin, right?
As much.
So they push it as far as they can, but they got to sell they got to sell their portions. Yeah. And the thing we need to realize is that if we think that people like JP Morgan or BlackRock are actually sitting and managing $10 trillion worth of funds while the US government is $32 trillion in debt, that's just literally not the case. No. And they have to continue to take money from you in order to keep their lives afloat.
Exactly. They have to keep the Ponzi going, just like we talked about last week, right?
They have to.
So this is a way to get new investors. This is a way to move money around so it looks like we have new investors. This is the game.
The issue is that there's not enough new investors coming into the
100%.
US stock market.
Clearly.
Right? So they would have done this themselves. If Bitcoin only gets a 50% retracement, and the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ get an 80% retracement, which is crazy.
Unheard of.
Numbers for the U.S. stock market.
Yeah, go back and look in history if that's ever happened before. I mean, over a long period of time, of course, it always bounces back.
That's not new, and that's not new investors. No. That's them trying to keep up with the cost of their own capital destruction.
Yeah. Yeah, because they have to make it seem like it's a real thing. Right. They have to continue the illusion.
But
Bitcoin, or else people will start to figure out how it works.
Bitcoin is a big part of the reason that these things are coming out in the wash, right?
Yeah.
And so, to me, all the speculation, so the things that have been pumping the price over the last couple of weeks, or even cost the last little pump here. And if we go to YouTube, we can see. Actually, I'll just move over to YouTube and see if I can. Actually, I've been watching other.
Well, you should be able to scroll down or so and see.
Oh, I've been watching other things, but if I go to my subscriptions here,
I've been watching other things.
Well, just because of the crypto people have just been driving me nuts.
Yeah.
Like I used to use YouTube to consume this crypto content and see what's actually going on, but it's just been driving me nuts. So I've been watching other documentaries and stuff.
Yeah.
But anyway, last week or a week and a half ago or whenever, when the price broke out, and it was the speculation of these ETFs, and a lot of the highest volume of views on YouTube are people that are like, oh, I'm all in. Oh, it's time. We're all in. We're all in. We're all in.
All the thumbnails.
And what do they say? Bullish. As soon as you start seeing it in the mainstream media is when you need to start thinking about selling.
Yeah. Well,
so I sold a huge portion of my Bitcoin at $31,000.
Yeah.
And I said, no, I'm done for a few months. And now we're at 26. We're going back to 25,000.
And if you look at the charts on the higher time frames, you see a clear bearish divergence.
Right?
Massive. So the charts don't lie.
They pushed it as far as they could.
Women lie. Men lie.
They managed. They managed to get the stock market back 80%, which is crazy. 50%.
Yeah. After flushing so many people out.
50%
a whole year
on Bitcoin.
A whole year of flushing people out of the market, where they all probably put their livelihoods in 2020 and 2021, right?
50% on Bitcoin.
So because they heard about after the massive run in 2021.
Yeah.
Everybody's hearing about it and buying the top at the end of 2021. They flushed everybody out in 2022.
And so
then they have to maintain the status quo and oh no, it's okay, don't worry, and then get people back, confident again in the market and start pushing price up again.
Even back, if you look, you can even trace this back to like 2013. JP Morgan and Morgan Chase, or whatever the hell the other guy is there.
All the big quigs.
Were two of the largest buyers of Bitcoin, even back in 2013.
Cool whip.
And they were firing anybody who worked in their firms that would trade Bitcoin.
Oh yeah,
right.
Yeah, because
so now what you're seeing, what we're seeing is the introduction of these ETFs, which is going to be an electronic fund with access to Bitcoin. You're not going to actually own any of the Bitcoin.
Which again, we are against here on Your Future Hand, Bigs and Balls.
Absolutely, we're against
ridiculous.
That. Yes,
stupid.
You know what? It's going to benefit me. And if I want to go, oh well, the fucking masses are stupid, so fuck the masses. But it's like, no. We don't want to have that.
We're sheepdogs. We're not wolves.
Yeah, we want to be the sheepdogs. It's like, and it's especially, there's other people in crypto too that are like, oh, well, we need the sheep, whatever. It's like, yeah, we do need the sheep. But if we let the wolves kill all our sheep, then what the fuck do we got?
Exactly. Then we got nothing.
So you have to be the sheepdogs. You have to tell them, you don't need anybody to manage your Bitcoin. You don't need anybody to manage your savings.
No. I would rather teach you how to fish than supply you fish because I don't got enough time to fish for you.
socialism versus capitalism, basically.
Right.
But I mean, the reality is you don't need anybody for Bitcoin. You don't need to be thinking about ETFs, or that ETFs or possibly be the reason that you start getting into Bitcoin.
And to explain it like you're 5, if you're on the fucking playground and some guy says, "Hey, I'll give you some Bitcoin. I'll give you exposure to Bitcoin. Just let me hold your money." Like that's the ETF. That is the ETF.
And that's what caused that.
No, you can just buy Bitcoin. You don't need somebody to hold it for you just for exposure for the gains. Like that's how they ultimately have complete manipulation of the price, and just like they did with gold.
It's
just
funny,
like they do with all the entire
even
stock
that
markets.
last pump. So when there was a massive ETF speculation last week there for that last little pump that we had to the resistance line.
Because it was
and everyone's like, oh man, all those lines are like just look messy on your charts. Okay, and I've got it now zoomed out to the monthly. You can see that we came up. This is a long fractal line of resistance that dates way back into Bitcoin.
Cycles.
We came below, tested it again as resistance. We've now confirmed this as resistance. This is a trend line that's quite old, years old, right? And so we are now above a major support, below a major resistance. So you know what? Maybe this is a flippening of the market and moving towards the bullish structure. But we told you that it was going to calm down, and I did think last month was going to be where it hit this little peak here. I told you guys it was coming to lower prices, but here we are a month later, and
so retail was able to prolong it, right?
Yeah.
So that's evidence of retail getting stronger, but still ultimately the whale's pushing us around.
And potentially, potentially we spend another month or so going back down.
Yeah.
And then mid-October, we could see.
But the reason why we cover and talk about Bitcoin so much is that ultimately, in the end, it will be. As long as you don't fall for the ETF BS and we maintain
honestly
accumulating for ourselves and not accumulating for them or letting them accumulate, it will get more stable, right?
You wouldn't be hear anything about all this inflation garbage and all this nonsense. You wouldn't be here, in my opinion, you wouldn't be hearing any of this if not for Bitcoin, because Bitcoin is the first thing to pose threat to the monetary policy that we all live in now, right? Like Bitcoin is literally the first thing. And there's going to be a million fakes, there's going to be a million scams and a million Ponzi's, just like there was in the stock market and how they manipulated money for the last 100 years or 200, it's like what, 247 years that America's been in, had an empire. Or whatever,
and actually,
you know what I mean?
while you bring that up, I bring something up to me on our last video about Ponzi's. I actually had a phone call with somebody who called me up about it, and I told him, drop a comment below. You're probably not the only one. Anyways, so drop a comment
comments
below. But anyways, somebody phoned me up.
Stop sending us private messages. Fuck off.
Phone me.
Seriously,
phone me up. Well, just the reason is because other people are thinking the same thing.
They're thinking the same thing.
Right? So don't be selfish and message us privately. We don't mind answering your questions, but put it in the comments, and then more people can benefit from it. Right? Let's work together to create a greater good. But anyways, so this person phones me and starts telling me about another Ponzi that so-and-so got into just locally here. And he goes, I can't believe that so-and-so fall for it. I go, but why? Because think about this. You've seen Supersize Me. People still go to McDonald's. You've seen all this negative information about everything in the world, no matter what it is, but people still do it. It's the people's mind is so mush these days. It's hard. You can't blame people for falling for things.
It's like actually, this. It's so simple.
Yeah.
And it's you can break it down to the simple fact that if you are not in control of your own mind, somebody else
100%, 100%.
Somebody else is.
Yeah.
So if you don't feel comfortable and content, if you constantly need to be around people and be social, and you're not comfortable just with yourself and your own thoughts, and if you don't have new creative ideas and broadening expansion and questioning the things that are actually going on, then you don't have control of your thoughts or your own mind. You literally don't, because every thought that you have was somebody else's. Right?
Yeah.
So if you're not in control of your own mind,
they call that inspiration. But potentially.
But if you're not in control of your own mind, somebody else is.
Yeah.
That's the reality. And it's really that easy.
If you don't use your mind, somebody else will use it for you.
It's really that easy through social media and mainstream media.
It's never been easier.
Right?
It's never been easier.
I think about this, and I don't even want to get into it, because at the end of the day, I don't care if you're trans. I really fucking don't. It doesn't matter. It doesn't affect my life at all if somebody's trans.
No.
Right? I do want to protect most people's basic fundamental rights. And that means protecting biological women, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But this thing with the pride flag that gets me, and all this and recently kind of reading into fractals and fractal light and stuff like that. The visible spectrum in our electromagnetic field is about 3% of the electromagnetic field that we can actually
That exists.
Yes. So there is black body radiation waves that we can't see involved in this.
So much.
But the visible light spectrum is the whole LGBTQ movement color.
Right.
They literally weaponized the entire visible light spectrum.
Yeah.
And now when people see it, they're fucking triggered. When at the end of the day, they don't give a fuck if somebody's trans or not.
No.
But it's just
It's all about stirring shit up.
It's all about stirring shit up and creating chaotic energy that nobody even really.
Yeah.
They can't even really comprehend what's being done to them.
Not at all.
And so if you're on either side of that, like I said, I don't care. No. I'm not on this side and I'm not on that side.
If you let it affect you, you've lost. That's the whole name of the game.
That's what I'm trying to say.
Yes.
So it's like they weaponize the entire visible light spectrum, and that's what people are arguing about.
There is no right or wrong. If you've let it affect you and it's emotionally distraught, put you in a confused state,
then you're losing.
Then you've lost.
Somebody else is in control of your thoughts and in control of your mind.
Yes, and that's how they do it, right?
And
they use guilt, just like we said before. They use fear. They confuse you, or they'll guilt you into it. Right? There's those tactics that they use, and just make sure in the future that you're aware of things like this happening.
It's absolute nonsense. Like,
yes, everybody deserves to be happy. Everybody deserves to have clean water and good food, and we all deserve, equality and all that type of stuff.
There's only like 10% of us that have clean water.
I know, right? And it's brutal, right? It's very brutal. It's not anywhere near where it should be. But things like this are muddying the water for everybody and slowing us down to a potential utopian reality, which is totally graspable.
If you really think that you're in control of your own thoughts and your own mind, but that is like, you know what I mean? Like if you're a part of any sort of social justice issue that's being expressed through the mainstream media, then I'm sorry to tell you that
you're a pawn.
You're most likely.
You're a
I don't want to say that
you're.
I don't want to say that you're a pawn. Yes, you are being used. You're being manipulated. But I want to. That's not the message we want to push here because we want to just wake. Fuck! I don't even want to.
Well, it's hard to say, man. You have to admit that you are wrong before you can do right. Yeah. Right. Like no doubt about it. Like if you're being pushed around and you're not saying anything about it, you're not standing up and acknowledging the fact that somebody was pushing you around. The first step is to talk about it. Remember, we've been over this before. Hi, I'm alcoholic or whatever. Right. Hi, my name is Marty Alcoholic. That's how they do it in AA. You have to acknowledge it. I tell my daughters it's a AAA. You acknowledge, assess, address, and you can't get to the second two A's unless you acknowledge what the problem is first, right? Acknowledgement is 50% of the battle. Once you acknowledge it, then you can properly assess it, and then once you properly assess it, then you can address it.
One thing that we don't actually talk about, and maybe we should go into depth about the white paper and really just how Bitcoin works, but it literally it busts everything else apart. Because there is no issuer, there is no human identity attached to Bitcoin that can
will manipulate you for its gain, right?
Right.
It's for everybody.
Literally the truth.
If you're a part of the network, then you are benefiting.
It's the only true thing. And if you're attached to this monetary policy in some way, you can't avoid it. You can't ignore it.
No.
Unless you're some fucking dude with a 7-foot arrow in the Amazon fucking jungle that's like doesn't want a boat full of bananas or whatever the fuck it is from natural society.
You're completely outside.
You are in this system, and Bitcoin is the truth, right? The more we learn, the more we realize we actually know nothing.
Yes.
The only true transaction between anybody that I know of is Bitcoin.
And with what you just said there, the ETF is basically the end of the last chance at being self-sovereign, right? Because if we allow an ETF to happen, and then all they're going to do is push the price up to the point where everyone's like, "Yeah, I'm a millionaire, sell," and then what? The price may go up to 100K, may go up to 200K, may go up to $1 million.
But when it changes over to Bitcoin being the monetary policy, they're going to hold the most amount.
Exactly, and that's their goal. Short term is to do whatever it takes to manipulate
the largest
people
holder
and manipulate the market so that they can get all the Bitcoin.
It's like things don't happen overnight. Our civilization has been changing over thousands of years, and Bitcoin's going to be printed for another 100 years, 107 years from now.
So
right. So you will not even be aware of the timing of these things happening because it's happening so slow that you can't fathom it because everybody is fucking hooked on instant gratification.
Yeah.
So if it doesn't pleasure you in the first 3 seconds, you scroll past it because you're a fucking nitwit, right? But Well, I should say that. I'm trying to be the positive guy in these fucking things.
Hey, sometimes you got to just smack a guy upside the head and just say, wake up.
Yeah, and that's the reality.
I had to fish slap you. I'm sorry I had to fish slap you, but you needed to calm down.
They look at this as this is another 100-year project.
Right.
19 million or 19.5 million of the Bitcoin is already in circulation.
Yeah.
So that means there's another a couple million left.
Yeah. And we know they want all of it.
But it takes
Hands down,
another 100 years to print it.
Yeah.
So it's a race to see who accumulates the most, basically.
Yeah. And that's why we say DCA look away. Right? That's the easiest way. That's the easiest way to do it. If you don't want to get caught up in all the BS, DCA, look away. And don't ever worry about selling. And then another guy actually asked me a couple weeks ago, it's like, when do I sell my Bitcoin? I said, well, as long as we have banks, you don't need to sell Bitcoin because you can just borrow against it as an asset.
You can't
just
tell
like you
me
could if you have your house, right?
That this wasn't institutional money. This wasn't institutional money.
Well, the majority of every move is institutional money.
They drove this price up as far as they could.
Yeah.
They got stock markets up 80%. Bitcoin, they got up 50%.
Yeah.
Now we have mass fires burning a bunch of shit down,
yes, a bunch of
which
stuff
actually
in the news.
just covered up the fact that Evergrande was going bankrupt and tits up again and destroying the economy. Everything drops 10, 20%, and nobody's paying attention. But now we can see we're back to this. We're back to this major solid line of support.
And the stuff they've brought up in the news and the narrative is so controversial that it easily distracts everybody, right? Like it's not like a clear thing where everybody agrees on. Because that's over in a day. If everybody agrees on it, then that's it. But if 50% agree one and 50% agree the other, then we have something. Now we have something here. Mm-hmm. Now we're going to have controversy. Now we're going to have at least days or weeks or even months of people bitten like back and forth at each other, and comment sections that just go nuts because people are so ignorantly proud of their stupidity that they have no idea what's actually happening. They are fully got. Like the same thing happened in 2020. I tried to tell in a place when I'm with two people that believe two different things. I said, both you guys are wrong. I'm sitting here. You guys are arguing. You guys have both been subdued. You guys are both wrong, all right? I don't care what either of you say. You guys are now arguing. That was the whole point.
Exactly. If you're arguing about some sort of mainstream news topic, you've lost. Period. If you're on either side, you fucking lost. Period.
Yeah.
Right? And this is what we want to draw attention to. It doesn't matter what's going on in the narrative or who the fuck is arguing about what. All of that energy, all of that chaotic energy creates more revenue and more power for the people at the top.
Yeah, exactly.
Period.
Exactly.
And we've proved that in the last 3 years. It's actually just gotten ridiculous.
Yeah.
Right? So if you're arguing about anything that's in the mainstream media, you are not in control of your own thoughts. DCA, look away.
I think with that, we should say...
Biggs and Boggs.
out.
Out.
Peace. That was the best episode yet, I think. Whoa! Hey. Watch the legs on that microphone, bud.